I've been producing hip-hop beats consistently for 6 years now, and I would have never made any progress had it not been for the MPC 1000 and its larger counterpart, the MPC 2500. I would have never made any progress at all had it not been for these two pieces of gear. So, to celebrate the beginning of my 6th consecutive year as a producer, and the fresh start of a new year in general, I wanted to do a short, quick video highlighting producers who also use these two MPCs. Let's get started. Number 5. Manny Fresh. Growing up, I was never the biggest Cash Money fan. I didn't care for the Hot Boys as a group or as solo artists, and not much love for Birdman either. But one thing that Cash Money had to their advantage was producer Manny Fresh. I always liked his production, and I saw his episode of Mass Appeal's Rhythm Roulette, where he was producing beats at the Sprite Center on an MPC 1000, so that was cool to see. Big ups to Manny Fresh. Number 4. David Banner. Another artist who was pretty big when I was growing up. I actually didn't know until some years later that he was also a hip-hop producer. A few years ago, after realizing he produced T.I.'s 2003 hit song Rubber Band Man, I was revisiting the music video and I noticed David Banner made a cameo, fully equipped with an MPC in hand. An MPC 4000 to be exact. But as of recently, while once again watching Mass Appeal's Rhythm Roulette series, I saw an episode where Banner produced a beat on the MPC 2500. So that was dope to see. Shout out to David Banner. Number 3. Arab Music. So like some of these other guys, Arab Music was a pretty big name producer when I was growing up. I can't say that I'm thoroughly familiar with his music. I didn't listen to too many people that he worked with when I was younger, but I do remember him producing some pretty big songs back in the day. I think he did one for Busta Rhymes. Not 100% sure about that. But in recent years, I've watched some videos of him on YouTube producing beats, on the MPC 2500 nonetheless. And I have to say, he may not be my favorite producer, but he's absolutely the most skilled producer to use an MPC that I've ever seen with my own two eyes. I viewed his episode of Rhythm Roulette, where he produces a dope soul-sampled beat on an MPC 2500, and another video where he goes fucking hard on an MPC 4000 that he made Alchemist tear up watching him make that beat. I've never seen a hip-hop producer so articulately weaponize an MPC in the way that he does. His proficiency and speed-induced method of attacking the 16 pads of the MPC to create melodies from samples is insane, and the fact that he uses an MPC 2500 is really fucking dope. Shoutouts to Arab Music. Number 2. Ninth Wonder. When I was first starting to get into hip-hop production, Ninth Wonder was one of the very first producers I was paying attention to. His soulful production for artists such as Lil Brother and Murs, amongst dozens of others, caught my attention, and I used to watch videos of him producing beats. And though I've seen videos of him using a few different pieces of gear, sometimes the MPD or the Ableton pads and all that shit, my favorite videos from him where he was producing were always the ones where he uses the MPC 2500. The man is a legend of hip-hop production. Shout out to Ninth Wonder. And number 1, Uncle Al himself, the Alchemist. Alchemist is the man who needs no introduction. 30 years in the game, and his work is still heavily sought out by legendary hip-hop artists and new school artists alike. He's adapted through 3 different eras of hip-hop and shows no signs of slowing down, and he did it all with the MPC 2500. Okay, to be fair, not everything he produced was on the 2500. Particularly the early stuff from the Dilated Peoples era, where a lot of his production was done on the ASR-10. But you know what? I have an ASR-10, and it's a pain in the fucking ass to use. $2,500, and the damn thing is so hard to use. You know what else? Uncle Al came to the same conclusion that I did. It's cool to have all kinds of different production gear, but all you really need is an MPC, at least in my opinion. And I can proudly say that due to the Alchemist primarily using the MPC 2500 for production in recent years, particularly during the time when I was learning the ropes myself, I was able to learn a lot of production techniques from him, and as a result of that, my own production style became heavily influenced by his by default. Just about every video I've seen from him producing beats for roughly the last 15 years or so has shown him working on the MPC 2500. Even in his Alu Art Masterclass course, he uses it to teach techniques and production methods. Whenever I'm stuck in a rut searching for inspiration, I always either watch one of his beatmaking videos or I listen to one of the numerous albums he produced using the 2500. Either one of his own solo ones or one that he produced in full for another artist, and it always does the job to get me inspired again, sparking my inspiration and creativity and helping me to refresh and refocus. And that's my list. Now, I know there are several other producers who use the MPC 1000 and the 2500s as well, Mapia being one person that I know who uses the 1000. But I kept this list to just 5 for the sake of time, as I have other content I'm currently working on, and with that being said, if you're a producer who uses either of these MPCs, please let me know what your experience is with them and if you know of any other prominent producers who use them for production as well. And if you don't use either of these, but you also use a classic MPC, like maybe the MPC 2000 or the 4000, the 5000, something like that, leave a comment as well. And that's all for today, folks. Until next time, be safe, take care of yourselves and each other.